Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the president of the Electric Power Reliability Alliance, and we are here today to talk about TechCon. Herm Vogel is here representing TechCon, and we're going to ask him a little bit about it, but I know the first one was in 1996 in New Orleans, and they've had them in New Orleans since, right, Herm? So it wasn't like you guys could never go back?
I believe we had it one more time in the New Orleans since then.
All right, so either their memories were short and you could go back. And our guests are Herm Vogel, who's the head of development for TJH2B, who puts on the TechCon, and Dave Wallach, who Dave is with Duke Energy. I know a lot of people from Duke, and now I know one more. Dave, it's good to have you on here. And Ken Peterson, who is with Hampton Tedder Technical, who does a lot of work within the utility industry on installation service and a lot of things. And we'll get into that in a minute about your roles. But gentlemen, we're here to talk about the virtual TechCon in 2021. Dave, talk a little bit about your role at Duke.
I'm in the equipment engineering group, and there's a few of us that purchase power transformers. So we're kind of in the specifications area, dealing with the suppliers. We, bid our transformer work. So, and also we go to the factories, design reviews, some of that traditional role, design reviews, inspections, testing, and so forth.
Yeah, I know you've worked with IEEE. You're a PES member, a transformer committee member,
right?
And which I appreciate because part of my past has been in transformers, and I've always loved the work that you guys have done. I hope we get on another one of these, and I want to talk about your new DGA guide. What were you guys drinking or thinking? I just don't know. Anyway, we'll come into that in a different one. And Ken Peterson, you are, you've probably seen more substations than all of the rest of us combined. Would that be a safe bet?
Yeah, I've, in the Southwest territory, I've been to a lot of substations on the new side and on the maintenance side. So also generation switch yards as well. So yeah, all over. Okay. The Southwest platform.
All right, so let's talk about TechCon. Herm, it's virtual this year. That's different than what it's been in the past. Talk about what someone should expect who signs up for TechCon. It's different this year.
Well, first I'd like to say that in all those years, TechCon was a roaming conference that travels to all the various states in the warmer weather during the February months for the past 25 years, which as U.S. data started in New Orleans in 1996. What to expect in the plan in the TechCon will be similar to what we have when we're live. We will have the papers, we will have the panel sessions, but we'll have virtual suites where people are invited into those suites to go beyond the booth capability. So you can bring them into your virtual room manufacturing process. You can bring them into transformer testing, like Omicron is doing. So you can do various things in those virtual rooms that you can't do when you're standing in front of a booth, just collecting pamphlets.
Right.
So we doing our best to do all of that. And we have our super tech commercials that come on board as well. So there's a lot of good things that come out of it. Key members from our planning committee, include IEEE, CGRA members, service providers, and major vendors that also play a key role that brings the latest technology to the industry today. Those you can see in the virtual suites, demonstrations, and all kinds of things.
Okay.
If you look at the history, we've had the privilege of having various utilities host or be part of the TechCon, like San Diego Gas Electric, SMUD, SRP, Duke Energy, ComEd, amongst others in the long history of the TechCon conferences. So what TechCon is designed is to provide a wide range of educational options for delegates, whether they are newcomers or seasoned professionals. So even with a virtual TechCon, we're trying to bring the same thing to the forefront where people go away with something, with knowledge, and also the capability of getting NETA accreditation for it.
Okay, that's important too. One of the things is the cost of a conference. Number one, the cost of a conference. Then number two, the airplane ticket. Then number three, the hotel room.
Yeah.
and all of the meals and everything. People this year avoid that. So for people who really want the content, or their bosses who want them to have the content, having it virtual allows people to do that. What they just have to do is prioritize the time. Let me get to our two guests. Dave, you've been to a number of TechCons. You're on the planning committee, I understand it. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen as a value in the past for the kinds of people that go to TechCon. And while you're doing that, who should go to TechCon?
As far as the latter question first, I think there's enough there that you could entertain and have value for anything from engineering to perhaps operations and maintenance personnel to get value out of the conference. Can you repeat the?
Well, no, let me give you that one again. So what you're saying is
Okay.
boots on the ground and butts in the seats. That's who should be able to come. The engineers in their offices and the boots on the ground, or the engineers on the ground. And the second question was value. Have you been to past TechCon? So talk a little bit about what your takeaway has been.
I think the value is it's a mixture of both like listening and learning, as well as you're up and moving around. There's been the networking between meetings, as well as the trade show floor to be able to interact with suppliers and so forth. Of course, we can't have that with the virtual, but there may be some pluses and minuses to that with the virtual meeting. Yeah. But I like that it's if you think of the extremes, I've been to just like 2 IEEE T&D shows, and that's so huge, and it's almost overwhelming. Whereas the TechCon is a little bit smaller, intimate group that you can interact with and really get to know people, and it's a pace that it's manageable on the intake side versus just feel like you're drinking from a fire hose and you walk away scratching your head thinking, what did I just learn? Yeah.
Okay. Volume of content and volume of presentations. I know I've been to many of these conferences where I was one of 6 track presenters. And you know what that meant is while I was talking, 5 other people were talking. And you always wondered, I'm really talking about the best stuff, but you couldn't go see theirs and they couldn't see yours. That was good.
Right.
Same questions for you, Ken. So in case you forgot those questions, the first one is, from boots on the ground to butts in the seats, anything unique about the attendees that you think we can talk about? And then secondly, what have you seen in the past that you've taken away as a value?
Yeah, and in agreement. There's a collective group, and definitely perspective from all the way from management teams and to actual people in the field doing the work, whether it be operations or maintenance. Working on the hands-on equipment, because I see the deepness, of talking about not just as operational, but maintaining, looking at different quality of within the footprint of the utilities. And far as from my background, the first time I went to TechCon was in San Diego in 2008. And for me, I went there as a vendor, and my eyes were opened to seeing that many professionals from, North America is what we call it, but so we actually do get some visitors from around the world, and we've had speakers from different other continents as well. And it's been having that knowledge in the room all at once is some like Dave said, it's a lot more personable. You could actually go up and ask a few questions to the speakers. That was what really enticed me. And just the collectiveness of that many professionals being in one round room. And then, there is the choices still to go in different rooms, and I think we'll still see that on the virtual. But the, looking at the audience perspective, going, holy cow, look at these different choices, these topics, and these are the people that are actually right there in the middle of this event that's current. And we're discussing it, and the challenges is within the utility footprint as well. And that was an eye opener when I first walked in, and been consistently there since 2014 now, and every year. And it's been a privilege as well to be on the planning committee and watch everything unfold after we talk about it. and then we show up in February every year and watch it unfold. It is amazing to see the technology and the knowledge that is presented.
Okay. I also know that you're involved with NIDA, and I know that there are credits for people that come to this. Talk to me about the connection with all of the NIDA members that could come to TechCon, and or people that are looking at credits for time, because everybody's got to get their credits, whether that's CEUs or NIDA credits. How does that work? Herb, I'm going to ask that question of you, even though I know that because you're the one giving out the credits, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we work closely with NIDA, and NIDA have been participating in our conference for a number of years. We also go to their conferences that is held live usually every year. So NIDA has an understanding that our content is all educational, which is what is required to get the NIDA accreditation.
Yeah.
So we supply the content to them for review. They review the topics, they review the training tracks, the papers, to see if they fit into the NIDA accreditation for ours. They actually evaluate them ahead of time, and then they give us the hours that they can log in for accreditation as a NIDA member.
All right, that's good. One other question for you, Herm, before we go on. Both of these gentlemen, Dave and Ken, they've talked about the intimacy of being able to network. How are you handling that with the virtual conference?
Virtual conference, well, this is our very first one. We have chat room. We have the chat room on the side that is open. People can end up talking to each other somehow. In the virtual suites, they can have sidebars. They can talk in that world or have meetings set up with people outside that world. So we'll see how it unfolds, and it's our first one. We were caught in the same pandemic like every other company that does conferences. And we have learned from their mistakes going forward to try to make ours the best one in the new coming year.
Okay, good. Chat rooms, by the way, chat on the side of presentations actually works. It actually works. People can get their question asked for somebody who's who's on the panel live, which you can't do when you're in a presentation. You don't raise your hand and say, "Oh, by the way, while you're talking, I got a question for you." You can do that in these virtual rooms where somebody's presenting and you all are looking at the chats on there. So I got another question for you, Dave and Ken. This year, it's different. It's virtual. You've been part of this planning. What are your expectations for your role and what you're presenting or what you're expecting to get out of this year's virtual conference? I'm going to start with you first, Ken, so Dave can think about it. See, it's always good to let the other person. So, Ken, this year's conference.
Well, and as Herman said, it's different, but I've lived in the Zoom realm for almost a year now, on and off, and other virtual contents before the pandemic. So I have been through some of the webinars in the past where we do the questions. I like that format. I think that that will be an additive that, like you said, we wouldn't have in the live format. But just to the topics at hand are real and relevant for what we've all been going through and challenges and as we walk through it. So that's always my perspective walking in is looking at it. Where the hot topics are, what are others doing collectively as a group, and what can I bring back to whether it be one of my utility clients, and then also we do a lot of with the generation as well. And it is helpful to walk away and see, listen to what others have experienced and, lessons learned. There's always great opportunities to see lessons learned. A lot of times we're afraid to ask the question, and then you sit through the paper, somebody else asks a similar question, and you get the answer to what you're looking for. So those are always great things that I look forward to at the conferences.
Don't you hate it when you have a question and you don't think it's a good question you don't ask it and somebody else asks it and the speaker said, that's a really great question. You want to say, I had the same question.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. That happens.
I'm going to come back to something you said, Ken, before we finish up here. But Dave, this year's conference perspective.
I think it's going to be one of those things where you're going to get out of it with the effort you put into it. I know at Duke Energy, we've had a lot of, for us, it's Teams meetings. And if you're kind of passively, in this case, attending, and you're over there doing your email and other things, I think it's going to be maybe less value to you. I think if you really dedicate the time and energy to it, you're going to actually be potentially more engaged than if you're sitting in the back of a conference room to be participating in the virtual meetings and the chats. So I think you really have to kind of get in your head ahead of time that you're going to be engaged and really seek the value from attending the conference. And I think you'll have an opportunity to at least get out of it as what you would have in person, or maybe even more. Again, how you set your expectations for yourself in attending the meetings.
Excellent. So, what I heard from both of you, and I think this is my takeaway on the value is, and this is something that I'm pretty passionate about, is practitioner to practitioner knowledge. The people actually doing the work, talking to the people that are doing the work, and we're sharing ideas and best and better practices. And the value of that is just exponential. Because all it takes is one good idea that can save people thousands of dollars, or save a life, or extend the life of an asset. All of those things you can't put a dollar figure on, and I think that's what these kinds of conferences do, that TechCon does when they were live. And I think the same thing can and will happen on the virtual one. Herm, I got one more question for you that we didn't even talk about. Do you do polls through these different presentations? So you actually poll the audience to find out what they're thinking, which we can't do when you have live presenters, but you can do when they're virtual, correct?
That is correct. For the papers, we have poll questions that we can put in, multiple choice, and we also have questions for the panelists when they go on the panel.
Excellent.
So it's two-tier.
Yeah, and that is more timely, because the right poll question lets the rest of the audience know what people are thinking. And every time that I see a poll and it's done right, it also, you go, are you kidding me? Or that many people don't know what I know? Or, oh my gosh, I don't know what I should know, kind of a thing there. So Herman, before we close this out, any last thoughts or comments that you've got on this year's virtual conference?
I just want to reiterate that the delegates, come from generation, transmission, distribution, electrical engineers, maintenance, utility maintenance specialists, and technician and substation superintendents. I also believe that we are on the path to bring TechCon live or hybrid in 2022 at the state-of-the-art SRP Para Project Employees Recreational Association facilities.
Our guests today have been Herman Vogel, who is responsible for putting on the first virtual TechCon. He's in charge of business development at TJH2B. Dave Wallach, who is with Duke Energy, and Ken Peterson. And Ken, I always have a hard time with Hampton Tedder, and it's because I know somebody at a different Hampton. But anyway, with Hampton Tedder, thank you, gentlemen, for your insights today. This has been a combined presentation by Transformer Technology and the Electric Power Reliability Alliance on the value of TechCon. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope this has been influential, and I hope you will go, and we will put a link in this, we will go and register for the TechCon conference. You will learn a lot. You will walk away with information you don't have, and maybe you will meet somebody that from a networking standpoint can change your life.